Let's break stuff. In this video, we'll look at how to throw exceptions in Java. Throwing an exception is done with the throw keyword. We can actually throw anything in Java that implements the throwable interface. But even though you can throw it, it definitely doesn't mean you should. But you should throw any exception object, including instances of the built-in exception classes or instances of your own custom exception classes whenever you need them. So when we want to throw an exception, we use the throw keyword. It's just used to throw the exception, but what's very important is that it's followed by the exception instance that you'd like to throw. Alright, so let's say we would say this right here, throw new exception. At this point, we actually get a problem, and I'm going to deal with it, but I'll explain you what this does later. I'm going to run my code now. And as you can see, we get an exception. Why? Well, I threw it myself, so I know why. But sometimes you actually want to have slightly more meaningful exception in a more specific situation. So let's say that we also have a method here, and this method is called divide. I'm going to make it static for my convenience, so I don't need to create an instance. And it's going to accept two integers, a and b. And what is going to be done here is that we're going to print a result. And the result is a divided by b. But if b is 0, this would actually throw an exception. So let me specify that. If b equals 0, so it would throw the exception, but instead we are going to throw it ourselves here. There we go. And then right now, all I need to do is go ahead and call my method. And of course, I'm going to call it with b being 0. So, okay, go ahead and run this program. And right now, we again get the exception as expected, and our message cannot divide by 0. But we also get the stack trace. You can see that the first line says it happened in the divide on line 10. And before there it says we pretty much called this method, and that's the main method. So from the main, the divide was being called. So that's the stack trace that we're looking at right there. So right now, I don't have any proper exception handling in place. There is something I need to tell you in the next video why we actually would not need it here either. But it's a nice illustration of when to throw an exception. In this case, when we see that it is going to be problematic, when b is equal to 0, we throw the arithmetic exception. Honestly, this is not necessary, because dividing by 0 would throw this exception in itself already. So even if I comment this out and I run this code, we'll get the arithmetic exception. But this one, you get a different message, the built-in one, slash by 0, dividing by 0. We can deal with exceptions, we can catch them, and we'll see this very soon. But it's also very important to create a general handler, or alternatively, we could let them propagate up the stack until they meet a catch block that deals with them. Eventually, exceptions need to be handled. But that's it for how to throw exceptions for now. Before we're going to see how to handle exceptions in more detail, we really need to see that Java has two main types of exceptions, the checked ones and the unchecked ones. Let's explore these in the next video.